Hey, what's up YouTube? What's up everybody? Hope you're having a good day. I'm a little bit behind today. We're still here at 111. Still gonna get this work in. Still gonna talk about why incels love MAGA, okay? Let me pause this for a second. We might play this a little bit in the background. But, okay, we wanna get some housekeeping out of the way for anybody watching out there live or later on. Love, one of my core principles, love and liberty, doesn't mean being soft, always nice, fluffy. Love means truth. Love means if you're my brother and I see you doing something to hurt yourself, to hurt society, that I love you enough to tell you the truth, man to man, to look you in the eye and say, we got to talk about this. So with what I'm going to be saying in this video, I wanted it to first be said that I'm not here to insult anybody, okay? Because what I'm mainly going to get at here is that, and incels in particular, but people who support MAGA, the party that is hiding and protecting PDFs right now, shutting down our government to protect PDFs, the people who do that are broken in some way. They're hurting in some way. And I have love for that the same way that I love somebody enough to tell them a truth. When I see people hurting, I'm not trying to spike the ball on them. I'm not trying to hurt anybody's feelings. I'm not trying to rub anybody's nose in the dirt. I am here to help these young men who have been misguided ultimately have a better life. Okay, because that toxic ideology hurts people's lives. It makes their lives worse. It makes society worse. All that being said, if it don't apply, let it fly. Okay? Sometimes people get offended, and if it's not talking about you, then stick to the subject that we're talking about. I'm gonna break down why incels and MAGA go hand in glove and give you many examples where MAGA has outright courted incels. And they don't court them to rehabilitate them, they court them to stoke their grievances, stoke their anger, and use them, okay? And that's why we're here, because when people spread trash in your community, somebody has to clean it up. I'm going to let this play, comment on it a little bit, start to get some work in. We're going to start off with 80 pounds on the curls. That's 40 pounds each arm. We're going to see how many sets we get through today. I'm feeling pretty good. We'll see how much we talk versus how much we work. But these subjects we're going to be talking about all the time. And I welcome you to participate. I welcome your feedback and your point of view. Ultimately, again, if you have love, you'll tell the truth. Tell the truth from your point of view. Share it with people. Don't be afraid to let your voice be heard, even if it's against mine. Now, if you want to make personal digs at me, you got to do it to my face, on video or in person. But if you want to tell me my policies are stupid, my beliefs are stupid, you're welcome to do that in the chat, and we'll go back and forth and talk about it. In the same way, if you want to comment on anything that these women say, keep it to the words they're saying. If you simply attack them as people without attacking the arguments they're making and the beliefs that they hold, which lead them to what they're presenting, if you just need to lash out at people for attention, this place isn't for you. This is an advanced class for people who are above the level of ignorance of just throwing mud at people they don't like. This is a place where we actually dissect and talk about complex topics in nuanced ways. Okay, because people who want everything to be black and white, it's like President Trump being addicted to eating McDonald's. It's like a simple, childish, rudimentary level of life that we're just beyond on this channel. So you want to talk about topics? Bring it. We'll talk about it. Let's hear what they have to say. We're going to get some work in, and then we'll get into why incels love MAGA, why they fit hand in glove with that party, and why MAGA recruits and encourages incels.
care to provide empathy or justice for victims of pedophilia. And the biggest fissure yet to happen in this already very fissured, fractured MAGA movement is the 218th signature to release the Epstein files. But in the interim, Virginia Giuffre's book has been released, and I'd like to play a clip from journalist Tara Palmieri on just how many powerful people took place in raping young girls.
More comes out, obviously, after her death. What will we learn from the book that might have a corollary if and when the files are ever released?
I mean, the book is incredibly graphic. And if the files are released, and they are truly released, and they are unredacted, then you will see the names that are associated with those descriptions. And they're very powerful people. I mean, she was trafficked to incredibly powerful people. As many
And
as
Democrats want to see all those
and
names.
I think it would be jaw-dropping.
No matter who they are.
Both political parties. And, you know, you can read and you can figure out who these people are. And it's incredible that in her death, she's seeing some justice, but she has to be dead to see this. I mean, it's just so... It's heartbreaking.
Pumps.
So Tara Palmieri has had a long-standing relationship with many of the Epstein survivors and has gone back with Virginia Giuffre from Jump. And from her reporting, it is devastating to hear what happened to this little girl. She was a commodity. All of these girls were not people, they were commodities. And the men that took part are absolutely deserve to be held accountable. But
all of them.
I'm with you,
All of
right-wing
them.
Republicans, they are so conditioned to sexual abuse of children because they're churches. You see it every day, pastors, leaders in churches.
White
deacons.
churches.
They are used to
White
this.
churches.
Look no further than the Catholics, the Southern Baptists. It is absolutely stunning.
Yes.
And just what I will say is the description of the mental health trauma that these girls have gone through, we cannot overlook the trauma that these people inflicted upon them. And Ghislaine Maxwell was a perpetrator, and she facilitated it. And she should not be in a cushy prison. She should be in hardcore sex offender jail.
And Trump's going to pardon that woman.
Okay, and I want to
He's
paint
gonna
a
pardon
picture
her.
here that a lot of things
You'll
that
see.
seem that they would not be connected are actually connected. So you have little Moses Mike Grinder Johnson, who is the biggest protector of pedophiles in the United States of America right now. He is the most pro-pedophilia politician
Facts.
in the United States of America right now, is devout Christian Moses Mike Grinder Johnson. They won't release these because right now MAGA is involved in the biggest propaganda campaign, faking and feigning support. And we saw their meltdown after the No Kings rally. They know that they do not have popularity of the American public right now. And there are fissures erupting all over the MAGA movement. So they're moving as fast as they can. The government shutdown helps them. They want to keep it shut down so that they can prevent the fissures from fracturing off even more, so that they can consolidate power to kinks, because they were going to do everything in their power, everything. They're going to move heaven and earth to ensure that we don't have free and fair elections at the midterms. That is their number one goal right now. And if these Epstein files are released, the MAGA movement, you're going to have, even within the cult, you have a lot of protect the children QAnoners that might start seeing things differently. So I want to hear from right now the America's number one protector, defender, supporter, and enabler of pedophilia, which is none other than Speaker of the House, devout Christian, little Moses Mike Grinder Johnson. Play the clip.
Thing to see here, and I told Rep. Grijalva, in the press conference, I explained, and I told my team, She needs to get to work. She needs to stop doing TikTok videos and serve her constituents. The only thing that she hasn't done is taken the oath and will administer it as soon as possible. But in the meantime, she should be taking her constituent calls. She should have her 16 employees that she's already hired and here working, like all my staff's working, to handle the crisis that has been created by the Democrats. Her constituents have serious challenges and problems right now. She can be directing them to the right offices, and if it's something outside of her scope, she can send it to her two senators, because they apparently have a lot of...
Okay. There is nothing more dishonest than him saying she needs to get to work and lecturing her on work when he refuses to swear her in. And the reason, America, the reason, world, that he refuses to swear her in
To protect
is
PDFs.
because little Moses Mike Grinder Johnson worships two things: Donald Trump and his closeted life. And he will go to the ends of the earth to do anything for kinks, for this dementia-ridden, diaper-wearing sack of shit. And he weaponizes his faith all day, every day, to rural Americans that have some sort of grudge. Why can't I get ahead? Why can't I get ahead? You can't get ahead because you vote for pieces of shit like Moses Mike Grinder Johnson, who kisses the ass of billionaires. And these billionaires think you are not worthy of livable wages. They think that you're not worthy of health care. And this is so sickening that the Speaker of the House, that no Republicans check, this little pipsqueak, this little DL demon queen, and that he is such a defender and protector of pedophilia.
I find it stunning that in the same interview he would say she needs to get to work, but I'm not going to swear her in. Do you think that the base that watches him and supports Trump, they understand the hypocrisy of this, or do you think it's just gaslighting?
No, for the base, it is own the libs. That's their ethos. So he's owning the libs by doing that. They're like, you go, you know, don't swear. Yeah, they like it. They like this type of dysfunctional government. And in fact, they voted for it because they saw how dysfunctional Trump 1.0 was, one of the most dysfunctional governments we've ever had, only to be outdone by the current one. And they like it. They like anything punitive towards Democrats because these people don't have empathy for all Americans. Their Christianity and their politics is cherry picked down to just a select group of people. Moving along, CNN's Harry Enton is showing some great signs for the Democratic Party. Play the clip.
These commercials are so loud. All right, so MAGA and incels, okay? MAGA and incels are united by fear and anger. Status anxieties, losing their status, okay? That's MAGA recruits people from all different demographics afraid of losing some kind of status, mainly white males, of course. Most of them are lonely. We're going to talk about that too. I'm going to keep this going, but what I'm going to finish writing here is cruelty makes weak and broken men feel powerful. Think about that. We're going to talk about that. Cruelty makes weak and broken men feel powerful.
It was shocking to me, John, and it comes down to party identification. Do you identify as a Democrat or as a Republican? And traditionally speaking, this is a metric that has been quite telling of elections, and we'll get into that a little bit. Party ID margin, Dem versus Republicans. Specifically, I'm talking about Gallup. Back in Q1 of 2025, it was a tie. Look at how much Democrats have gained on this metric, according to Gallup. Their latest metric, Democrats are ahead by 7 points. That is a 7-point movement to the left. I looked at some other pollsters as well to see if there was similar movement among Quinnipiac. It was +1 Republican, and you can see again movement to the left.
People
Democrats
are tired of
+3.
the bullshit.
You know, last year going.
Okay.
People are just tired of the
This
bullshit.
is what's really important.
That's
that
why I'm
everybody
here.
understand right now.
It's just become such a mess that we have to clean it
of
up.
the congresswoman from Arizona to get
We
that
didn't make the
218th
mess.
signature because there is momentum that everybody hates kinks except for the 35% MAGA Christian hypocritical pedophile protecting cultists, okay? There is massive movement away from this. Every time this man governs, he is breathtakingly unpopular. He has said in the Oval in the last 48 hours, he's going to do everything in his power to make sure there isn't a repeat of 2020. The number one thing that autocrats do when they get power is consolidate it to them and rig elections so that they never have to cede it. So we're seeing the soil being primed right now. That everybody's very unhappy, and polling is showing that everybody blames the Republicans for the shutdown because they control everything. You have the Democrats starting to gain momentum and popularity despite lackluster leadership from the top two in the House and the Senate. And if these Epstein files are released, you guys, it is going to be an earthquake, an absolute tsunami that could actually break this cult once and for all. So what is he doing while the government is shut down? Play this video. This is incredibly disturbing.
President Trump's new election integrity team at the Department of Homeland Security includes Heather Honey and Marcy McCarthy. Two election deniers who worked to overturn the results in Georgia and Pennsylvania. Honey is now Deputy Assistant Secretary for Election Integrity at the Department of Homeland Security, and McCarthy was named Director of Public Affairs at the Cybersecurity and Infrastructure Security Agency, or CISA. According to the New York...
Because they're afraid of a fair election. They're afraid of a fair election because they're the minority of this country. They're angry that they feel like society has failed them, and they feel like, I'm talking about white men here and white evangelical Christianity, because the women who participate on the MAGA side are like that book, The Handmaid's Tale, Stepford Wives. They are indoctrinated by fear of going to hell, fear of being outcast by their community, their family, if they don't go along with a misogynistic religion of fear and anger. Okay, so we're mainly talking to the white men of MAGA. They're angry that they don't feel like they can compete with immigrants and brown-skinned people. They're angry that they thought they lived somewhere where the deck was rigged for people who look like me, for people who look like them. And it has been. It's been rigged for us for so long. They're very angry about losing that advantage, or the idea of losing that advantage. So they need to rig elections because they're afraid of what a fair election would look like.
Times, Honey hosted a call with election officials from nearly all 50 states last month. The paper reports many of the officials left that call alarmed. 5 people familiar.
Dennis says one day it might be interesting to watch Newsmax and call out the BS. I think that is a fantastic idea, Dennis. Consider it done. I have so much backlog of material I want to get through. I might stick that in tomorrow. It might be in 2 weeks, but we will do that. I don't even know. Maybe I could get clips the way I'm getting YouTube clips and queue them up. But yes, we will do that. We will watch some Newsmax, some OAN, some Fox News, and we will teach some of these young men who simply haven't had a good influence on standing up for love, truth, what's right, having a background, choosing to put beliefs over jersey, to put beliefs over blind obedience. A lot of these young men just haven't had the influence, so I think it would be a great idea to watch the news sources that they watch, pause it, and comment critically the way that an older, more educated, more experienced, more honest viewer might watch Newsmax or OAN. And while we're watching this, of course, any MAGA people, because this is the inverse. If I'm going to watch Newsmax and critique it, while we're watching I've Had It News, it's a liberal news outlet, you're free to critique it in the chat. Just keep it to policy. Don't make it personal. Okay? If you make it personal, you're just looking for attention. You're not being serious. If you talk about why their policy or their ideas or their beliefs are wrong, we can work with that. And we've got no problem with that. All right, let's keep this going. But that's a great idea, Dennis. We will definitely watch some Newsmax, some Fox News, and comment on it in the same way in some of these future videos.
Earlier with the call, say Honey spent much of her time repeating claims that the 2020 election was fraudulent, questioned the mission of CISA, and made multiple references to a report that election machines had been hacked and could not be trusted. Ms. Honey and Ms. McCarthy did not respond to the New York Times request for comment, and the Homeland Security Department declined to give specifics about the department's election work. But it is because these individuals are now responsible for laying the groundwork for the upcoming midterm and presidential elections that many election experts are even more alarmed today.
Okay, so these are the big stories. And I, as appalled as I am at what he's doing to the East Wing, this is a massive story right here that he is putting real quacks, conspiracy theory whack jobs in charge of election integrity on purpose. The crazier and the more dishonest and the more depraved and the more willingness to bend free and fair results, the more qualified you are for this man. This man is a flea bag magnet. He attracts bottom feeders, parasites, and flea bags. Anyone in his orbit or people that you know that still continue to defend this man are broken, emotionally stunted, bottom-feeding flea bags that think they are the exception, that are incapable of empathy, real-time psychos. And these women that are doing this to these elections, this is the point. This is what they're doing. This is why they want the government shut down. This is why they don't want to release the Epstein files, because they have got to break it enough before it opens back up that they'll never have to give it up again, because this man has zero, and I mean zero, intentions of leaving the White House.
I completely agree, and I do not think it's hyperbolic to say he is going to rig these elections, full stop. And one thing that, when you see this Trump 2.0 versus Trump 1.0, something you said really hit me. It's punitive. And so in Trump 1.0, we saw the nature of the, guardrails, and he was firing people constantly. This time, he put in true believers that have zero loyalty to the United States of America or its citizens, and they have loyalty only to him. So I just think it's interesting, Homeland Security hires election deniers. Who's in charge of Homeland Security? Christina, true believer. It's stunning what they
You may remember in a couple of episodes ago, we talked about, we played a clip of Kanks talking about, I've got Christie working on the election so that this never happens again. I've got Tulsi Gabbard working on it. Every single cabinet member, every single aide, every single advisor, this is all hands on deck. This is a Project 2025 situation. This is what everybody warned you about. This is what Kamala Harris warned you about. They are dead fucking serious about dismantling the Constitution. And you guys, they have Congress and the Supreme Court in their pockets on this, because they all think we can do bad shit and we can have all of these fucked up Google search histories as long as we make America a good country for Jesus. Like that's something that if Jesus exists, like that's something that Jesus wanted, who actually spoke out against people who prayed in public, who actually spoke out against overt religiosity and found it performative and fake. All right, that's all we have for this episode. Buy our book. It's called Life is a Lazy Susan of Shit Sandwiches. The link is below in the show notes. Please subscribe, like this video, comment on it to help us with our algorithm boost, and we'll see you all later.
All right, let's get another video up here.
You'll never.
So, let me also get something set up here. I have some notes. All right. Sorry for the breathing hard, but you know how it goes. You know how it goes. So, All right, what we're doing with this workout, same thing every day, full body workout. We either do 1 to 4 or 5 sets, an average of 3. The idea being we want to do as much as we can, but still be recovered by the next day to work hard again. By doing multiple sets every single day, we build up so much volume over time. That is the key to growth. If you are merely trying to keep muscle, you only need to do 2 sets per muscle group per week to keep your muscle.
Major cracks in the Republican Party right now over the disastrous Donald Trump government shutdown. As MAGA Mike goes up there and holds disastrous press conference every morning, you're seeing MAGA Republicans in their conference saying things like, I think this is just getting tired and old, and like, can y'all actually come up with a plan? And our constituents really want their health care, believe it or not, despite all the talking points that MAGA Mike's up there saying every day. And then the optics is what the MAGA Republicans are talking about. I care more about what's happening than just the optics, because when they complain about the optics, they seem to suggest that this would be okay if there wasn't a government shutdown. I think it's never okay under any circumstance. But you've got MAGA Republican Senator Tom Tillis, who claims he's not really a MAGA Republican. He's on a more moderate one, although his voting record suggests very different things depending on how he votes. Well, he said that Trump wanting to reach a settlement with himself and literally rob our treasury of $230 million because Trump claims the 2020 election was rigged, and Trump is upset that he was investigated by the feds. Trump wants the taxpayers to pay Trump $230 million for, quote, his legal bills and for his pain and suffering. And Senator Tom Tillis says, well, that's a little bit of a bridge too far. I don't like the optics of Trump paying himself $230 million from his own Justice Department, taxpayer dollars, during the shutdown. I'll show you what MAGA Mike said on that in just a moment. But MAGA Mike held one of those press conferences earlier in the morning. It was a total disaster.
Can you imagine what these goofballs would be saying if President Biden was trying to get $250 million for himself out of the government from his own Justice Department? Can you even imagine what they would be doing? That's why we don't take them seriously. And yesterday we talked about the reason you don't take MAGA seriously is because they put obedience above beliefs and principles. MAGA has a higher value for obedience. They would call it loyalty. They think that that is better than standing for principles like love, liberty, truth, justice, equality. Okay, and when you value obedience and kneeling to a McDonald's made PDF, sloppy, weak, makeup wearing, Epstein best friending loser, when you kneel to somebody that, what they call beta, that puts you even below what you guys call beta. And the fear and anger that unite these people and the loneliness, reinforces the fear and the anger. They sell them this notion that, hey, if we are cruel, that will make us feel powerful. That will make us powerful. Our cruelty, cheating, stepping down on the oppressed and the working class while propping up the billionaires, cutting food stamps and support to disabled children while giving billionaires a $1 trillion tax break. That's cruelty. That's what weak men would do. Strong men would never say we can't take care of our disabled children. Strong men would say, we got you. We're men, we got this. You have a disabled baby, whether it's me, it's my sister, it's you, your sister, your cousin, has a disabled child, a strong community made of real men, we got you. Don't even sweat it. We're going to take care of our own. We're going to take care of all of humanity. Cruel men who feel so all these inner conflictions because they're kneeling and serving men they know by their own definitions are the weakest among us. And they serve those weak men, which lets them know inside that they're even weaker than that. From their leaders all the way down to the incels, none of these men can attract real women. What do I mean by real women? The women of MAGA are brainwashed like that book, The Handmaid's Tale, or Stepford Wives. MAGA women are part of a corrupt, toxified version of evangelical Christianity. Now this is white churches. Black churches tend to be way more about social justice, unity, community, the actual things that Jesus allegedly taught. White evangelical churches cultivate fear, anger, and cruelty while wrapping themselves in the name of a man who said, how you treat the weakest and lowest of these is how you treat me. And they say that they're worshiping that man, but we see that it's not serious because they do everything against what he taught. What do they worship? Obedience. Because when you are afraid of your church, when you're afraid of your social group, when you're afraid of your family, you can't stand up for this because they will punish you. They'll make fun of you, they'll outcast you. You know, if it gets bad enough, some of these Christian families, will completely disown their own children if they simply choose to love their neighbor as they love themselves, the way that Jesus allegedly commanded all of these people who followed the Bible to do. If you do it in these white evangelical MAGA churches, they react with cruelty. Okay? Again, not here to insult, we're here to help. Because if you are following the party who has shut down our government to protect PDFs, deep inside you're not happy about it. But you're afraid. You're afraid to stand up to somebody in your life. There is someone in your life where if you just decide, you know what, I've had enough. I'm going to be a good person. I'm going to be a strong person who takes care of my community, not lashes out at it. I came, you came, whoever's watching this, unless you're a Native American, came here as an immigrant. My family came here in the 1600s. You know what they had to do to become a United States citizen? Sign a piece of paper. Now, I am a United States Marine, but was I a United States citizen before that? And would I be a United States citizen if I had never been a Marine? Yes. And take my brother, take anybody else watching this who was simply born here and didn't have to do anything for the benefits of being a United States citizen. Tell me how it makes sense that you think other people should do more than we had to do to live here and pay taxes here. Make that make sense to me. It doesn't even make sense to you, like most and all of MAGA's arguments, but again, they don't care about beliefs or logic, love, principles. They believe in obedience. And so when you understand that all of this is happening because 33% of our society is so afraid and so angry and so lonely that if somebody promises them the feeling of power, they will be obedient to those people no matter what. And that's what we have going on. That is just touching the tip of the iceberg. After I do a couple of more sets here, I'm going to really get into why MAGA appeals to incels. The masculinity meltdown and the politics of resentment. Okay, we're going to talk about what they resent, why they're afraid, why they're angry, why they seek power through cruelty.
And MAGA Mike declares mission accomplished on healthcare, that the Republicans have saved Medicaid, strengthened healthcare, and they should be thanked, is what he basically says. Here, play this clip.
We put a few on the handy chart over here.
But just think of what's been accomplished in the last 9.5 months. A couple of things listed here. We passed the historic working families tax cut, one of the most landmark pieces of legislation ever passed by the U.S. Congress for the benefit of the American people. We slashed taxes for hardworking
They gave crumbs to the middle class
for
while
lower
trillions to
middle-class
billionaires
earners who needed that assistance. We cut hundreds of billions of dollars in fraud, waste, and abuse from government. We solved the border crisis. We are working now to solve the crime crisis in major cities around the world.
Republican states are the most deadly states in the
Medicaid.
country
We
for murder.
improved healthcare access, and we've lowered
It's not even
premiums
close.
with our legislation.
I mean, is any who like believes this stuff? I think it's
See?
extra offensive when he goes.
It's
and
crazy.
Does that.
It's
he
so
asked
many
about
lies
the
in such a short amount of time.
$230 million payment that Trump wants to make to himself to settle the case on behalf of taxpayers for Trump's own pain and suffering. And MAGA Mike says, "Oh, I don't know. I've never heard of that before." You play this clip.
Last question.
Yes, ma'am. Second row, right?
How comfortable are you with the president apparently seeking $230 million from the Department of Justice?
I don't know the details about that. I
Such a
just
liar.
Read it. I didn't talk with him about that. I know that he believes he's owed that reimbursement. What I heard yesterday was if he receives it, he was going to consider giving it to charity. I mean, he doesn't need those.
He robs cancer charities.
I've never heard about it, but
He's
I heard he's
convicted. He's
charities.
guilty of
These are
robbing
worse,
children's
they're not
cancer
even
charities.
Good liars. They're bad liars. And then this is what I was talking about earlier with the MAGA Republican Congress members during this private conference call. Some of the information leaked. For example, Congresswoman Van Dyne, she said, "What are you doing? Like you're embarrassing, and all our constituents." MAGA Mike think that like you're embarrassing us every day. Like, can you stop this? And MAGA Mike's like, "That's not what she said." And the reporters apparently were on the call, so they know what was said. But you're just a liar. Here, play this clip.
There was one member of the Republican conference. These are supposed to be, confidential off the record calls among colleagues, but some of you guys listen in, and I make a pleading at the beginning of every call that you wouldn't do that and wouldn't characterize it. But whoever the leak is, whatever. Beth Van Dyne was quoted. Beth is a dear friend. We've had lots of conversations about this. She was not complaining. It was not dissonance, Chad.
Okay. Let's bring in Democratic Congressmember Joe Neguse from Colorado. Congressman,
Let's go, Joe.
How are you? He does that every day. I think the American people are. It would be parody. Like that
Colorado,
would
stand
be,
up, baby.
It looks like an SNL person playing them, and perhaps it would be funny if Americans weren't suffering. But I don't even know what I'm watching. I show this stuff every day, and I'm like, what? It gets weirder every day.
Yeah, it's theater of the absurd. I mean, first, it's great to be with you, Ben. But yeah, complete theater of the absurd. I don't understand why the Speaker of the House continues to have these press conferences. And it would be, hilarious, farcical, if not so painful for the country. I mean, the reality is there's essentially nothing that Donald Trump can do that Speaker Johnson won't defend. And I say this as somebody who has served in the Congress, was in the Congress when Kevin McCarthy was Speaker. I never thought I would say this, but I think Speaker Johnson is the weakest speaker in certainly the modern history of our country. I mean, essentially, he and his caucus worked for Donald Trump. Sycophants in terms of their support for him, capitulating to him at every turn. And I just find it so outlandish the way that they've debased the Article I branch of our government, the United States Congress, which is supposed to be an independent, co-equal branch of our government, and of course not functioning in that way today. So it's shameful, just shameful. By the way, I don't know if you noticed this, but he offers these clever, what he thinks are clever rejoinders when he was talking about this corrupt effort that the president is now apparently engaged in to give himself $250 million of taxpayer money. Speaker Johnson called it a reimbursement. It is not a reimbursement. It is the definition of self.
Can you imagine if Biden did that?
Donald Trump is attempting a shakedown of his own government, of our government, and I can't believe. I should be surprised, but can't believe that there are more Republicans who are willing to.
The Thanksgiving turkey sub is back at Firehouse.
All right, let's mute this and talk for a second.
Firefighter approved.
Camping World is America's youth.
All right. So, Nick Fuentes, talking to his America First followers, all wearing MAGA hats at a rally together. They all openly embrace the incel label. Okay, Nick Fuentes embraces the incel label. And they manipulate these men's sexual frustration as a tool for radicalization by reframing celibacy as a badge of pride and blaming societal changes for their woes. Fuentes taps into alienated men's resentment and steers it into extremist politics. Their shared grievance, Incels and Maga's unholy alliance. The MAGA movement, with its Make America Great Again slogan and pugilistic culture, has struck a nerve among incels, involuntarily celibate, and men who share that archetype of alienation and anger. On the surface, the world of lonely, sexually frustrated young men might seem far removed from patriotic rallies and red baseball caps, yet a common thread of resentment and victimhood binds these spheres, creating a provocative convergence. MAGA's themes of loss, restoration, we'll get back to this. MAGA's themes of loss, restoration, and defiance speak powerfully to men who feel cheated by modern society, in their careers, in their social status, and especially in their romantic lives. These disaffected men recognize in MAGA a political outlet for their personal grievances, validating their sense that something has been stolen from them and must be taken back. One analysis that we read noted Donald Trump's rise was viewed by many misogynistic men as glorious vindication, a corrective against feminism and other forces they blame for their own struggles. In Trump, they found a man who was willing to fight their fight, a champion for those fearing the erosion of white male privilege. The result is an unholy alliance of MAGA's grievance politics with incels' simmering resentments, each reinforcing the other in a feedback loop of anger. Psychologically, incel culture is fueled by resentment and entitlement. Incels nurse an acute sense of injustice that they've been denied the sex, love, or status they believe that they're owed. This worldview dovetails with MAGA's grievance-driven narrative. Trump's rhetoric has consistently painted his overwhelmingly male base as victims of elitist condescension, globalization, and social change, much as incels see themselves as victims of a modern dating culture empowered by feminism. Grievance politics forms the core of both of these arenas, MAGAs and incels. In MAGA lore, the true Americans, often implicitly white men, have been humiliated and must reclaim their rightful greatness. In incel lore, good guys have been spurned by liberated women and chads who are attractive men. And the incels believe they deserve restitution. Both MAGA and the incels find scapegoats for their pain. Incels often demonize women and the men who succeed with them as oppressors, claiming society granted women unfair privilege via jobs and independence. Likewise, MAGA rhetoric frequently targets feminists, woke, liberals, and cultural elites as having rigged the system against ordinary men. This narrative turns personal frustration into political rage. Male identity crisis plays a pivotal role. Many incels and MAGA enthusiasts share a perception that traditional masculinity is under siege. They struggle with a world where women are empowered and old gender norms are upended, leaving the incels unsure of their new role in society. Trump's macho posturing, the swaggering alpha persona made of McDonald's, pussy neck having, makeup wearing little bitch boy, offers a salve for this insecurity. He projects the image that he thinks portrays a hyper-masculine hero, a wealthy, brazen womanizer, should-be woman purchaser made of McDonald's, who buys women and abuses women and protects PDFs and probably is one himself, in my opinion. But he says whatever he likes and suffers no consequences. To men who feel emasculated and voiceless, this is deeply appealing. Trump's blatant indulgence of misogynistic behavior, from grab 'em by the P word to public taunting of the way women look, signaled to these followers that their pent-up frustrations and politically incorrect anger are not only acceptable but vindicated at the highest level. It's no coincidence that after Trump's victories, online spaces saw explosions of misogynistic glee. For instance, an astonishing 4,600% spike in incel catchphrases like, "Your body, my choice." A sneering reversal of the feminist slogan, "My body, my choice." All over X/Twitter, empowered by Trump's triumph, angry incels felt emboldened to revel in open misogyny, viewing it as proof that their once fringe resentment had seized the mainstream. Again, cruelty makes weak and broken men feel powerful. And we're not here to insult weak or broken men. We are here to help. Okay, I'm gonna get back to work, and then we will keep going and get more into this. I'm gonna let Midas Touch and Jonah Goose talk in the background. I'll be answering anything you guys want to talk about in the chat. But again, when you operate from a place of love, you tell the truth. It doesn't mean you're fake nice. If you love somebody and you're a doctor and they have cancer, you eradicate the cancer because you love them. The cancer says, "Oh, I thought you were about love. Why are you eradicating me?" And it's like, well, because you started it. You started killing. You started attacking somebody that I love. I love humanity. MAGA is attacking humanity, our society, our culture, democracy. I also love all of my fellow human beings, and people who are incels and people who are MAGA are not happy. They're afraid and they're angry, and I want to help them. You don't have to stay that way. It is not the answer to the pain that you're feeling or the life that you are seeking. We can talk about it. We'll keep talking about it. But with that being said, I'm going to get back to work. We're going to watch some more Midas Touch and see what you guys in the chat have to say about it.
They don't even want to answer. And now, serious debates. And you're able to do that on the Rules Committee with the MAGA Republican Congress members, and you'd use logic, and for a short period of time they would respond to you, and you would get back and forth, and it seemed that was the democratic process, even though you often exposed what they were doing, great. I mean, that's, they should want that, and they should come with better info. Then as we talked about the disastrous budget bill, their plan was basically, we're not going to even debate. We'll show up. We're not going to talk to Nagus anymore when he wants to have. And then you would point that out. You would say they don't even want to answer. And now they've taken that to a whole new level where they don't even want to look at you, and they don't want to look at the Democrats. I've just been following the progression where now, forget negotiation, they're not talking. Like they think that they have no obligation to even be in the same room. And that's, to me, is one of the things about this shutdown that needs more attention, is that one side, the MAGA Republican Congress members, are not even there and are refusing to say words, yet alone even have a negotiation. So I don't even know how we get out of it, because fundamentally that's not our system. Like, that's not what our system is. The parties talk, and their system is they go to Mar-a-Lago or what's now Club Rose Garden and just have Donald Trump say weird things in their presence. It's not our system. I think that's what's missing from this discussion.
Yeah, I completely agree with you, Ben. And by the way, you've described the evolution so well. I mean, you go back 6 months ago, as you said, they were scheduling these hearings on the budget bill, for example, in the dead of night. We at least had an opportunity to be able to question these witnesses, my colleagues on the Rules Committee, just by way of example, and through supposition and logic, and be able to test their arguments and have at least a debate on the merits. They then quickly realized that that was no longer inuring to their benefit, I suppose, because when the benefit of sunlight in terms of their exposing their arguments, clearly the American people would understand that these policies that they're pursuing were not being pursued for their benefit, but for the benefit of billionaires and their donors and the like. So they stopped engaging in debate at all. And as you said, we would have these hearings where literally they would just sit there and not talk. And now they've taken that to its logical conclusion, which is a 5-week paid vacation. Republicans
to
literally
protect
refusing to reopen the House. The Speaker
to protect
unilaterally deciding that the House will not function, that there will be no debate,
paid
no
vacation
committee hearings,
to protect
no legislative
PDFs.
markups, nothing. It is, again, a debasement of our Constitution that Republicans have decided to do this. By the way, while families go hungry, while furloughed workers across Colorado and across the United States are going without pay, federal workers who are being forced to work without pay, it's outlandish. And it's, of course, not surprising that Steve Bannon, allegedly, I guess a week or two ago, described the Congress as the Duma, right? I mean, akin to essentially the Russian parliament, capitulating to the president at every turn. One would be hard-pressed to disagree with that assessment. The Republicans, again, I just think are disrespecting Article 1 of our Constitution, and it should offend every American. It certainly offends me.
And so one of the scams that Donald Trump pulls to try to dangle money, but to me it's just part of this Ponzi scheme, is he says he's brought in all of this money. He says he brought in $17 trillion. He says it's already there. He talks about having money on tariff shelves, whatever the hell that means, and he's brought in $17 trillion. He says he's going to bring in another $3 trillion. He goes, so we'll have $20 trillion that's been brought in. And then during this bizarre press conference he had yesterday in the Oval Office with business leaders there, I might mention, like corporate leaders who know that he's lying, who I think have a deeper responsibility as well than to shake their head when they see this crap. But he's out there saying, well, they asked, well, how are you going to what are you going to do with the farmers and people who can't afford their rent right now and manufacturing, construction? It's all going bad. So what are you going to do? And here's what he says. He talks about, look, I brought in $650 billion from the EU, $550 billion, so we're good. Here, just listen to what he says here, then I have a question for you. Let's play it.
Rich country again. We'll start paying off debt. We'll do a lot of things. We'll probably make a distribution out of some of the tariff money. I think we're going to make a distribution over the next fairly short period of time to the people, because we took in so much money from the tariffs. Just European Union, $650 billion. Japan, $550 billion. South Korea, $350 billion. That's even a lot of money for you guys, right? That's not bad, right? But
it deeply troubles me that the business leaders are also laughing at that, because we have not brought in $650 billion from the EU, $550 billion from Japan,
When you have a base of people who don't care about truth or love or integrity, but who only care about blind obedience and loyalty to a jersey, okay? They only care about obedience, not truth. So Trump can sit up there and make up numbers and lie, and his base, it goes in one ear and out the other. They couldn't care less. They're looking for the cruelty that makes them feel powerful. So that's why his lies don't matter. That's why he can make up and lie and switch things 180 degrees until the cows come home, and the incels and the weak and broken men that make up the majority of MAGA, they couldn't care less, because they're not here for love, they're not here for truth, they're not here for justice, they're here for obedience to a team jersey. And that's what weak men do.
$0 from those places. That lie to me is so dangerous, and
let's hear it again.
are also laughing at that, because we have not brought in $650 billion from the EU, $550 billion from Japan, $350 billion from South Korea. We've actually brought in $0 from those places.
Zero.
That lie to me is so dangerous and so nefarious. As they saying we don't have money to extend the Affordable Care Act, we don't have money to provide special.
While they want to
services.
double your health insurance.
I think this is a
while they're
deeper
sending
fraud
billions of dollars to
Ponzi scheme
Argentina.
taking place that Trump and Republicans are
Only
perpetrating.
weak men
I think
could
fraud
go
is
along
the
with
right
that.
word, and you articulated
Be that
as
gullible.
well. First and
That
foremost,
bitch
though,
made.
I just have to say, because in some respects we've become almost desensitized to this ludicrous stream of consciousness that you just heard. I mean, there's
We're
no
desensitized.
cogent arguments made by the
Because
president.
they don't
He's just
care.
literally,
They're obedient.
grabbing numbers out of thin air and tossing them out. And as you said, perhaps the most depressing, confounding part of that clip that you showed are the business leaders, these titans of industry standing, behind him, capitulating again at every turn. And
But personally, they're
applauding
getting
him
trillions
as
of dollars in
he's
tax
making no
cuts.
sense and offering no cogent arguments. It
They're
just is a sad
obedient.
state of affairs for our country. But yes, your core point, clearly it's a fraud. It's a supposed trillions of dollars that I think he knows full well that that's not the case. And that he has not somehow generated trillions of dollars for
He knows
Treasury.
full well
Far from
incels
it.
don't
And
care.
meanwhile, by the way,
They don't care.
adopting policies
It's
that
not what they
the
care
Department
about.
described as America First. Most recently, this bailout for Argentina, billions of dollars, and now
Billions.
announcement by the Agriculture Department that
To
they're going engage in
Argentina.
mass importation of
For beef.
from Argentina, devastating the ranchers that I represent in western Colorado and countless other ranchers
Simps.
across the United States.
Weak, broken men.
Just it'd be very distasteful and disgraceful in my view. I will say this, this is kind of a sidebar, but it's worth noting for all of the folks who are tuning in and watching. Every single person who's watching ought to ask a very simple question of your member of Congress. And by the way, this extends across party lines, but in particular for
This is my
Republicans,
member of
on
Congress.
this week 5 of their paid vacation, are they having a town hall? Where is your member of Congress? We're having a town hall today.
That's my member of
In
Congress.
Grand County, part of my district that actually voted for Donald Trump. But it's important for me to be present and to be engaged and be on the ground listening to my constituents irrespective of who they voted for. So that's how I'm spending my time. Where is your member of Congress? I can promise you I can count on one hand the number of Republican members of Congress who have deigned to even show up in their communities for town halls in the last 5 weeks. It's disgraceful.
They're
They're
vacationing
on
while they
paid
protect
vacation,
PDFs.
And voters ought to hold them accountable for it.
Congressman DeGoose, thanks so much for joining us.
Thank you.
Everybody hit subscribe. Let's get to 6 million.
And their voters don't care because they're obedient above integrity. They're loyal before truth. They think cruelty makes them powerful. But we see who they are by the people they follow. Like Donald Trump and Elon Musk and Mike Johnson and J.D. Vance can only act manly or masculine around little bitches like this. Not around me. No. Nope. Not Andrew Tate, not Joe Rogan, not any of these little manosphere bitch-made, cruel podcasters. And again, I'm not here to insult. I start to insult because of the harm, the trash, the toxicity they're spreading in our community. It makes me angry. At the same time, any man who embraces the golden rule and puts principles above obedience, who put principles and integrity first, we're brothers. That's all that needs to be said. You live by the golden rule, you're my brother. No matter who you supported in the past, the day you say, you know what, I'm going to stand up for the golden rule. And something I keep repeating to any MAGA or incels watching, because they're all afraid and they're all angry. And a lot of their anger comes from they know what they're doing is wrong, but there's somebody in their life that they're afraid of being a good person in front of. Whether it's a father figure, whether it's a peer group, whether it's a church, because there is nobody who preaches more cruelty than white evangelical Christian churches. Black evangelical Christian churches tend to preach community power, the teachings of Jesus, love, acceptance, unity, social justice. So I'm not talking about churches who actually follow the teachings ascribed to Jesus. I'm talking about these white evangelical churches who wrap themselves in the name of a man who said, how you treat the least of these is how you treat me. And they believe that man was a God. And then they do the complete opposite of what it says that he taught. Why? Because they're afraid and they're angry. Whatever it is, it comes back to fear and anger. Loneliness comes from fear. The fear of putting yourself out there. Because anybody who goes and puts themselves out there in a community and they lead with love and truth, you're not going to be lonely for long. You're probably going to have too many friends. Okay? But they have been taught that love and truth are weak. Because the men who teach them that know that if they teach them that love and truth are strength, when you have love and truth, you will be independent. You won't be reliant on a pussy neck having, sexually assaulting, multiple felon best friend of Jeffrey Epstein, draft dodger made out of McDonald's, wearing makeup on his face, telling you that that's what a man is. The only way anybody will buy that clown show is if the fear and anger are stoked like a fire. That fear and anger needs to be fed for you to believe that the softest, most cowardly, weakest, unlovable piece of shit on planet Earth could be considered something to look up to. So again, we're not here to insult. If I'm speaking to you and you're feeling triggered, know that I am here to help you come to love and truth, so that you don't have to be an incel if you don't want to. Guess what? Women aren't attracted to cruelty because they know that cruelty is weakness. A strong man who's attacked by a weak man shrugs it off and says, get over there, little boy, or I'll make you say uncle, and then I'll let you go and laugh at you and say, yo, what's that about? Let's be friends. No? Okay, let me teach you a lesson again. But there's no desire in a truly strong, capable man to hurt somebody else. As a matter of fact, men who are capable of and who have seen extreme violence are the most averse to violence because they have come face to face with the brutal reality of what a broken down human body looks like. And it's not pretty, and it's not to be taken lightly, and it's not anything to wish on any human. I don't wish physical harm on any of these people I'm talking about. I wish them to have therapy. I wish them to debate me so we can talk about, oh, I'd love to have JD Vance on a camera with me. Or better yet, let's work out in the same room and let him tell me about Democrats face to face. They won't do it. These people run and hide in their own little pack of hyenas. They'll gather together with other hyenas and eat, scraps like parasites and, try to cheat, like gang up on a lion, steal a lion's kill, stuff like that. But they won't ever confront a lion one-on-one. And that's how you can tell who is who. And again, it's not about insulting anybody. It's not about, if Joe Rogan wants to get in a ring and do some rounds, I'm down. But I'm gonna shake his hands after. He has seen violence, I've seen violence. I've seen more than Joe has. Neither of us is trying to hurt the other person. But if you need to get some aggression out in a healthy way, you can do that and then say, yo, I love you, brother. Good game, good match. You made me stronger today. Cruelty is a whole different thing. Cruelty is, I'm going to jump them when they're not looking. I'm going to be one of these, the horrible things that we see in society. They're not looking for a fair fight. They're not looking to get out some aggression and shake hands and have a debate after. They're looking to do something from the shadows because they know that they're weak and broken. And I'm here to tell any of those people, you don't have to be weak and broken. If you're MAGA, if you're an incel, who in your life are you afraid to be a good person in front of? I promise you, you're thinking of somebody right now. If you are MAGA or you're an incel, there's somebody in your life that if you start representing this, you're afraid of how they will treat you. Who is it? Why? What is it? I want you to tell me. I want you to explain it to me. I know what it was in my life that I had to overcome and be like, you know what? This person who I looked up to is actually weak and broken. And their cruelty that I used to think was edgy, and like manly when I was a young teenager, now I see it's just pathetic fear. They're afraid that a society that has been rigged for people like me for generations from the beginning of this country, since we stole it from the brown people who live here. And I say we, obviously I didn't have anything to do with it, but I'm not going to give my ancestors who did a pass. That doesn't mean I have to live in shame either. It just means I can be honest because I love truth. Because the truth is what the white people did to steal America from the Native Americans was morally wrong on so many different levels. And I can acknowledge that and still say, that wasn't me. However, I come from some of those people, and all I can do is say, I see that, I acknowledge it was wrong, and that would never be me. I'm going to prove that I'm not weak and broken by standing up for principles over a jersey color. Whether that's my skin color, whether that's being MAGA or liberal, I'm going to put love, truth, liberty, integrity, equality, justice, unity, all above a jersey color, all above a skin color, and I can still tell the truth that this country that I've had advantages that brown people have the complete opposite, have disadvantages. And I'm not scared of that because I'm not scared of a fair competition. I want to compete in the way that everything is the most fair, so if I win, I can know that I really won. Not that Uncle Mark gave me a job. Not that dude from my church gave me a job because I laugh at his cruel jokes. See, those are what I mean when you're afraid of being a good person in front of the dude at your church who tells cruel jokes who you want to get a job from. That's what I'm talking about right there. But the minute you say, you know what? I may think that I want a job from Uncle Mark who tells cruel jokes, so I go along with MAGA because I don't want him to make fun of me and outcast me and not give me the cool job. Men, young men, if you follow love and truth, your life is going to shit on. And I'm only saying that because the incel president that you support posted that AI video of him shitting on the American people. So that's in my brain with a crown on his head, sitting in the cockpit of a fighter jet where A, he can never physically fit into that cockpit. B, the idea that he could pass any military physical fitness test is fucking insane. And that's who represents you. And you're going to try to pretend that you're something while being obedient to that neck pussy having piece of shit who bought his wife from Jeffrey Epstein's friend, allegedly, according to Michael Wolff? Nah. That's why they're angry, because they know that something's not right. And they know that when these men tell them, oh, the reason that you can't get women and women don't love you is because liberal society has empowered them, this and that. Bullshit. The most feminine, independent, millionaire woman in the world will still be all about a real man. They will crave them. They will love them. They will worship them with love. If they are a good person. Okay? Real women who are not in a cult, because the only women who love these men have been brainwashed. Real women, independent women, the women that they're afraid of are women who have left that system of indoctrination, and they're independent, so they don't have to rely on unfit men. Okay, and I mean unfit from an evolutionarily biological term, because these women inside say, you know what, if you're cruel, I can tell you're weak. And I don't want to have babies with a weak man. I don't want to partner up with a weak person. I want to be with a powerful man, and actually powerful men represent higher ideals like love and truth and aren't afraid of the hyenas nipping at them when they come in to clean up the mess of the hyenas are making in society. Again, not here to insult, here to help. If it don't apply, let it fly. But before I get back to, well, let's switch to a different video because this one's wrapping up. But before we get back into another video, again, these people, these people put obedience over beliefs, okay? So that's how you have to understand both MAGA and incels. It's not evidence, it's not beliefs. They think that obedience is the key to everything. If incels are obedient to the cruel culture that MAGA has created that tells them that they're going to give America back to them, which means basically going back to a patriarchy, okay, where you're saying, if you don't want a woman to be independent, you're afraid. If an independent woman who doesn't need you chooses not to be with you, that makes you angry. But instead of looking inward and saying, wait a minute, I know that these women love some men. What do those men have that I don't have? And then the people corrupt tell them, oh, those men are Chads, you can never be a Chad. Bullshit. Chad simply puts in some kind of work, even if it's on his mind, because there are bad, beautiful, I mean bad in a good way, bad, beautiful, independent, powerful women who are with out-of-shape men because they have beautiful minds and beautiful love and beautiful truth, and they're a beautiful parent and they're a beautiful influence in their community. So the work you do doesn't have to be physical. Statistics show that it doesn't hurt. Statistics show that a majority of women, okay, this is just a gross majority, prefer a man who's physically stronger than they are. But like I said, there are bad, beautiful, independent, rich women who do not need a man, who love men who are completely overweight, but they have a beautiful mind, a beautiful soul, a beautiful heart. But if you are an incel and you're angry that an independent woman doesn't choose you because you're cruel, and you won't look inside and admit that maybe this is what's turning them off, maybe it has nothing to do with this. Or you have some incels who go to the gym religiously, but they have a philosophy of cruelty, fear, and anger, and then they buy into this nonsense because they say, physically, you know, I should be attracting women, but I'm not. And they never look at the cruelty. They never look at their heart. And this is how karma works, y'all. Like, biology, evolution is not going to let you fake the funk. Something bigger than us, I don't know what religion, I don't know if it's consciousness, I don't know if it's karma, I don't know what it is, because you know what? When you claim to know what the higher power is, you're lying. Nobody knows. We all have feelings, we all have intuitions, so all I can say is whatever it is that many of us feel is above us does not want fear, anger, and cruelty to win in evolution. How do I know? Because take a woman out of the cult and she will never choose those things. A woman will only choose a man gripped by fear, anger, and cruelty if she is in a cult. If her mind is not her own, if she relies on somebody else for money. Once that woman doesn't rely on anybody, do they become lesbians? No. Of course we have lesbians in society the same way we have gay people, but it's not because they're independent. I mean, if you have a lesbian who's in a Christian evangelical church and she's afraid to come out to her family and then she becomes independent, okay, but the independence didn't make her a lesbian. She was always a lesbian. The cult made her hide that. What I'm saying is independence, a non-reliance on men, doesn't make a straight woman gay. It makes them not even pickier. It makes them truthful. And you know what? If I don't have to rely on this dude for money, if I don't have to do what a cult tells me to do, I'm going to pick who I truly love. And who women truly love are men who love truth. Men who put love before obedience to a jersey. Men who have integrity to follow higher principles will have no problem with loneliness. Period. So if it don't apply, let it fly. None of this applies to you, let it fly. It doesn't apply, I mean, it applies to me in that I'm here to help, but just because the way my life has gone, I've never been an incel. But I had an amazing mother who taught me how to treat women, and it has always served me in my life. And that's how I can tell you, I've never been the best looking person ever, anywhere in my life, but I have always, if I was ever single, I had multiple girls pursuing me to choose from. Not because of how I looked, not because of being an athlete, but being somebody who treats all people with love and truth. In school, I was the person who bullied a bully, made them stop bullying the victim, then became friends with both of them, then made us all be friends. And that's attractive to women, and it's not doing something out of fakeness. It's saying, this is who all of you are inside as babies before whatever information was put into you by whatever family, church you were a part of. Human beings love truth. They're curious. They're affectionate towards other humans. They don't attack other people out of nowhere. All that behavior is learned. So if you're struggling with any of this, consider what is holding you back is buying into cruelty because it's wearing a jersey that you like. Instead of saying, you know what, take the jerseys off. I don't care who wears the jersey of love and truth. If they represent that, that's my brother, that's my sister. Watch how life will change for you.
Up in the White House by Donald Trump's chief propagandist, Caroline Levitt. She made a number of very damning admissions. I have all the receipts. Let me show them to you. She admits that Donald Trump's main priority right now during the government shutdown is building this ballroom and destroying the East Wing of the White House. Here, play this clip.
Go ahead.
Thank you, Carol.
Thank you.
In addition to the ballroom and the Rose Garden
I'm going to the
patio,
back. Sorry. Go ahead.
in addition to the ballroom and the Rose Garden patio, is the president looking at any other renovations or significant kind of projects here at the White House?
Not to my knowledge, no. But he's a builder at heart, clearly, and so his heart and his mind is always churning about how to improve things here in the White House grounds. But at this moment in time, of course, the ballroom is really the president's main priority. Kristen.
Next, a reporter asks Caroline Levitt, Donald Trump originally said that this ballroom was going to cost $200 million, and now it seems that it's going to cost $300 million based on what he said yesterday. Is there going to be any transparency here? Is he going to show how much he's contributing? How do we know the taxpayers aren't paying for it? Because the upkeep on this is going to be very expensive. Who's been paying for it already? Where are the lists? Here, play this clip of her response.
Danny.
Back to the ballroom, I'm afraid. I just wanted to ask, because in July, the White House said that it would cost $200 million. Yesterday, the president said $300 million. Is $300 million now the opposite figure, and why did it go up by so much?
$300 million is the figure, and again, it's not going to cost the taxpayers a dime. So we look forward to this project continuing, and we will continue to keep everyone apprised on it. Perhaps the president will even bring you all out to see it one day at the appropriate time.
Another reporter that
They just lie because their followers don't care about truth. Their followers care about obedience. So their followers don't even hear the lies, let alone, they never would go on an independent website or try to verify the facts in any way. Because if they did, if they were those kind of people, they wouldn't be MAGA. People are MAGA because they put obedience before truth. So Caroline Levitt can tell any lie she wants to. Donald Trump can tell any lie he wants to. And they don't care because truth is not what they're after. They're after obedience and loyalty.
and says, let's keep talking about this ballroom, Caroline. The president's cost estimates keep on changing. So what do we know about this? When do the people get to know what's really happening here as they see the East Wing being bulldozed to the ground? And it's officially gone. The East Wing no longer is there. Here, play this clip.
The ballroom, and first of which there will probably be several questions about this today, I imagine.
Is it a big story?
It seems that way. The president's cost
Is it a big
estimate has
story?
changed several times.
Tearing down the White House?
Given the nature of all this, will the White House commit to releasing all of the donors and how much they're spending and how much of this
Hell
is
no.
money the president is
Hell
putting on
no.
this?
We have released the full list of donors thus far.
More lies.
Perhaps there will be more people who want to generously contribute to this project. And the
Our
president,
followers
yes,
will
has
never
committed
fact
his
check
own
us because they don't
resources,
care.
and, when he releases that information, which I'm very confident he will, you will all see that. I would.
Figure from the president.
Yes, we will. And I would also just add the president has been
Like we're going to release the Epstein files,
I would
right?
reject any notion otherwise
Yeah.
when it comes to this ballroom project. It's something he personally has obviously taken an interest into and has talked with all of you in this room many times about. You have seen the model in the Oval Office. Last night he showed that for you. But when this plan was presented and when these renderings, as soon as they were complete, the president directed me to come out here and to share them with all of you. I did an entire opening remarks about what this ballroom project was going to look like. With any construction project, there are changes over time as you assess what the project is going to look like, and we'll continue to keep you apprised of all of those changes, but just trust the process. This is going to be a magnificent addition to the White House for many years to come, and it's not costing the taxpayers anything. The president is privately funding this ballroom addition to the White House grounds. Jennifer.
Next, Caroline Levitt is asked about American cattle ranchers who are absolutely livid that Donald Trump is bankrupting them, and that Donald Trump also announced he's going to be bringing in Argentinian beef to basically undercut the cattle ranchers here in the United States. Her response is to blame former President Biden and to spread a bunch of lies. Here, play this clip.
How will the Trump administration support those farmers?
Look, the president hears those concerns. He addressed them yesterday himself. President loves our ranchers, and our ranchers love our president. And in fact, the president did a lot for them in his first term here. They are struggling because of the many horrible policies of the previous administration. President loves our ranchers, and he also loves American consumers, and he wants to do right by both. So the immediate solution to the problem of the rising cost of beef, president wants to bring that down, is we have to increase our supply. And so that's what he's doing with respect to these imports.
No, cattle ranchers weren't having these issues under former President Biden. Let's be clear. I mean, being involved in ranching and agriculture always comes with its complexities, and as there was corporate consolidation, especially foreign corporate consolidation, major issues that of course need to have been addressed, although Republicans support that corporate consolidation. But it's Donald Trump's tariffs against the world and Donald Trump's outright attack on ranchers and farmers that has led to what's being called Farmageddon and bankrupting so many ranchers and farmers right now. It's just the reality. Next, a reporter asks Caroline Levitt about Donald Trump's visit to Walter Reed, where advanced imaging was done. So the reporter says, if you just said this is routine, why would advanced imaging be done? Here, play this clip.
And then one follow-up question. Any more details on the president's Walter Reed visit? The readout from his doctor mentioned advanced imaging. What procedure was he referring to?
Advanced imaging is something that presidents receive and people receive when they go to the doctor. And so we provide a detailed readout of that physical, and I would encourage you back for that. Presidents and I don't know the exact imaging that took place, but as the physician's note said, the president is in incredibly good shape, and I think that's here every single
He's
day.
made out of
Of course,
McDonald's.
what she just said there was false. Advanced imaging refers to MRIs, potentially brain scans, right?
You gotta be
CT
crazy,
scans.
man.
That's
You
not
gotta be
what
crazy.
happens during regular checkups.
The president's in great
everything
shape.
they say is quite literally a lie. We know that Donald Trump has cardiovascular issues. We see his hand that looks like it was stuck in a piranha tank. Like, we see what's going on, like, with him. We know he has cognitive issues.
All right, so Caroline Levitt saying that Donald Trump is in great shape is a perfect illustration of MAGA. Like, she's going to sit there and say he's in great shape with a straight face and know that any of the people who follow are not going to think, they're not going to blink twice at that insane. You're talking about one of the sloppiest, weakest, most disgusting, unhealthy, gross physical specimens that exist is our president. And she says he's in great shape. Moving on. You know, like, of course he's in great shape. Like, because people who put obedience above truth, it doesn't matter what she says. As long as she's wearing the red jersey, they don't even hear her. And then when we hear her and we say, what's up with these Trump 2028 hats? Oh, it's a joke. Oh, it's this. You can never pin them down because they never cared what was true. Ever. They cared about being loyal to their team. Okay, we're gonna wrap up here. I've done 2 sets of everything, and I'm feeling good for today. Because we do this every single day. My body's been a little bit crispy. I haven't been getting super great sleep the last couple of nights. And if you don't get protein, if you don't get sleep, you're wasting your work. Your muscles will only grow if they have enough protein and if they have enough rest. So since I know that my rest has been a little lackluster, I'm going to, again, because we do this workout every day, our weekly volume is always good. Even if we did 1 set of everything a day, 7 days a week, that'd be plenty of volume to grow. We're, averaging triple that. Anyway, I'm gonna be done working today, but I'm gonna wrap up talking about why these incels love MAGA. And again, it's not to insult, it is to help, because the people, and again, I have sources where MAGA, Nick Fuentes, proudly recruits and courts and celebrates incels. So this is not an insult. This is like, and incels go and follow Nick Fuentes and MAGA. This is facts coming from these people. It's not an insult. It is to say to any of those people, you're being misled. The anger and the fear and the loneliness that drives people to MAGA and being incels is stoked and kept burning by MAGA to control those people. If they learned to put principles over jerseys, they would find that they would not be lonely, they would not be afraid, and they would not be angry. If anything I'm saying doesn't apply to you, let it fly. MAGA, white supremacy, and incels are all driven by fear and anger. I don't have white supremacy up there, but it should be. MAGA, white supremacy, and incels are united and that their core drive is fear and anger. Over here, we're not afraid. We're simply looking at a society that is having toxic trash being dumped all over it and saying, we've got to clean it up. And there's some anger about that, but let me tell you the difference. Okay, and this MAGA and the Republicans love dumbed down everything. Like the way President Trump loves McDonald's food. It's like the simplest, most basic, unhealthy food. They love dumbed down concepts. So they get angry at immigrants. They get angry at woke people. They get angry at LGBT people. Okay, what is the difference between getting angry at an immigrant and a doctor who's angry that he can't eradicate cancer from a patient? Do you see the difference? Do you see the difference in a doctor who's angry because somebody's dumping, trash in his operating room, and somebody who lives in their parents' basement who never did anything for their citizenship, who's angry at immigrants? Right? We're not here to dumb things down here. There is righteous fear and righteous anger. But that's not what we're talking about. Let's talk about fear. If somebody's holding you by your ankles off of a skyscraper, ain't nothing wrong with being afraid. You're on the edge, What's the difference between that kind of fear and being afraid that if somebody immigrates here the same way that your family did, that they're going to somehow harm your life, when there's no evidence to support that, when in fact all economic and historical evidence and political evidence shows the contrary, that immigrants are what makes America a beautiful place in the first place. Putting aside that the genocide of Native Americans, which we've addressed, which is wrong, which we take accountability for, not as people who participated, but people whose ancestors participated, and say, you know what, my ancestors were wrong for doing that. I condemn that behavior. It wasn't me. I would never do that. I would do differently, but I can look and say that was my people and it was wrong and it's disgraceful, and there should be some amends made for that. MAGA offers a big tent for status anxieties, blending sexism and racism and calling it taking the country back. MAGA is a big tent for status anxieties, blending sexism and racism and calling it taking the country back. So status anxieties is people who feel like they're losing something, they're losing some advantage that they had. Because none of these people want a fair fight. They want it rigged for people who look like me. They want it rigged for white men. And they have status anxieties when they see that some white men, good white men, and independent women, and people of all different ethnicities and backgrounds are saying, you know what, no, let's make sure that it's fair for everyone. And to all the people that fair competition triggers, MAGA offers a tent that gives them the belonging that they crave. Shared symbols, shared rituals, shared jargon. All of a sudden, you can go from feeling like you're losing everything into a big tent, into a club. You've got your own symbols, rituals, and jargon. It makes you haven't done anything but parrot, but be a parrot in the jungle who heard something and repeated it. You don't even know what it means. But now they feel like they belong because that's what MAGA does. They're lonely, not only romantically, but they also lack strong friendships and positive community ties. And I say positive community ties because if your community ties are to a corrupt evangelical church that teaches the opposite of what Jesus taught, that is not a positive community tie. I say many times, if you're MAGA or if you're an incel, there's somebody in your life that you're afraid to be a good person in front of. If you're in MAGA, if you're an incel, there is somebody in your life that if you were to stand up for this, they would attack you in some way. Who is it? Why are you afraid of them? What do they have over you? The whole MAGA culture and the whole incel culture is us versus them. It's not higher principles unite everybody who claims these principles, which is what we're over here to say. It's not us versus you, MAGA and incels. All of us can be here, but you have to meet us here. This is the good place that we all want to be. We can't come into the muck and drag you out. You're going to have to walk out of it. You're going to have to leave the fear and anger and understand that the antidote to your loneliness is not cruelty, fear, and anger. The antidote to your loneliness and anxiety is embracing love and truth. Anti-feminism, so being triggered by feminism, again, a truly strong, confident, real man could never be offended by feminism, ever. Because a truly strong, confident, independent man wants the best woman he can find. The smartest, the strongest, the most capable. And that includes being independent. Do I want the mother of my children to be a bad, independent woman who can hold her own? Damn right. Only somebody led by fear, a weak or broken man, would want a woman who is somehow less than what her potential is. The only women in MAGA are women who have been suppressed to be less than what they truly are. Any of them who disagree with me are welcome to come on the show and debate that anytime. I'm very confident in that, and I will gladly debate that with you face to face, that MAGA women need to ultimately be freed. And that's why they're not happy with the women that they have. That's why they desire liberal women, because biologically they want the best. The best is truly themselves, confident, independent, strong, brave, free to speak their mind. But these men know that they can't have those kind of women because these men are in a cult of cruelty. So if they start representing love and truth, which is what the best woman, the best women want to see, the best women want to see men who embody love and truth more than they care about physicality. The thing is if you can have all the above, you are never going to be lonely. You're not going to be afraid and angry. But if you stay over here, they have it designed to keep you afraid and angry, because that's the only way you will stay in this muck, this trash, polluting society. The only way you'll stay here is if you're afraid and angry. As soon as you are courageous and happy and love and truth, and happy doesn't mean you don't get mad at a bully bullying your best friend. Being happy with your life just means that you know you're doing the best you can. You know you're striving to live up to these things, and you can look yourself in the mirror and say, I'm trying my best. I am trying my best to be this every day, to help other young men be this so that their lives will be better. If I help other men be this, it doesn't gain me anything other than a more harmonious society that's better for all of us. But I don't make any money. I'm not selling anything to promote this. These people are all selling and grifting, and they keep people in the ecosphere by what they're selling, grifting, and talking about, always keep that going like coal to a fire. Anti-feminism, again, is a gateway drug to the alt-right because anti-feminism targets weak and broken men. Cruelty makes weak and broken men feel powerful. Weak and broken men seek the feeling of powerful because it's the antidote to feeling weak and broken. If I'm feeling weak and broken and all of a sudden you can give me, a little speech that makes me feel powerful, even if I'm still lonely, except for being around a gang of hyena incels, who none of which would ever face a lion one-on-one. But being with this gang of hyena incels, even though they're all dudes and even though they wish they had a woman, so they're still lonely, but now this gang of hyena incels makes them feel powerful, they'll take it. Because they were feeling weak and broken, and now they feel powerful. And that's intoxicating. And that is how the whole system self-perpetuates and keeps them trapped in the muck. And keeping it us versus them, which is what they do, prevents them from leaving the muck and venturing outside. We're not saying it's us versus you. We're saying y'all are in the muck. We're over here where we all need to be. Come and join us. We can't come into the muck to pull you out. You have to look at whoever in your life you're afraid to represent these values of love and truth to. Because if you're MAGA, if you're an incel, you are afraid of representing love and truth to somebody in your life. It could be a group, a peer group. It could be your church. It could be the community you grew up in. But what I'm telling you is you are afraid to embody these values because these people will not accept you if you embody these values. They will outcast you, they'll kick you out, they'll call you names, they'll throw muck at you. You have to choose. And guess what? If you come to love and truth and you find out that nothing changes for you, you can always go back to this. But it's a one-way trip. Nobody ever goes back. Nobody ever leaves this fear, anger, loneliness of weak and broken people to seek love and truth and goes back to this. Never. So what do you have to lose? And a lot of times it's the relationship with my dad, the relationship with my grandpa, the relationship with my family, the relationship with my church. Well, if you don't want to feel this way anymore, and you want to truly be desired by bad, in a good way, women, by the best women, or if you like men, the best men, whatever you like, because people who are strong and people who believe in liberty, love, and truth, the hell would I care who you love? I don't give a fuck who you love. I want you to be happy. I want you to live your truth. I happen to love women. I didn't ever choose that. From a tiny little boy, I loved girls. My cousin from a tiny little boy loved boys. So, if I cared, that would probably mean that I was in the closet and I was mad that this person was getting to live in truth and I wasn't. So, all the anti-LGBT stuff with the MAGA people, it only, in my opinion, comes from people who are in the closet. Because as a straight man, I cannot fathom ever caring who another man loves. If you're another man and you love men and I'm a single man, more women for me. We can be friends, we could go out because you're not a competition, you're leaving more options for the straight men. So a straight man would never, a man who loves love and truth would never care who another person loves as long as they're a good person, as long as they treat other people with respect and with love and with truth and with liberty. Cruelty makes weak and broken men feel powerful. So these people are feeling weak and broken. Even if they can't have a woman, they can have a pack of other incel hyenas make them feel powerful. And, they'll take that over feeling alone. And it's sad that there hasn't been more of a movement here because we have so many young men who've been feeling alone, who've been feeling weak and broken. And what MAGA has done, to their credit, is, I shouldn't say to their credit because it's toxic, their objective is not good. It's not to help these men, it's to use them as pawns. But they have aggressively gone after this group of young men, while what I would call, real men who embody love and truth and integrity and community building have been too much on the sidelines. Because if you don't have all this trash being spread in your community, if everything seems to be going okay, and you're this person, you're not seeking out conflict. You're not going online looking for the arguments. You're not watching, polarizing political videos because you're good. You're happy. You have your health. You have romance. You have a social group. You have a romantic partner. And you're not going to be looking for all this conflict. But what's happened is these people like me have been, and not me in particular because I've seen this coming for a long time and I've been talking about it, but a lot of people are waking up to, oh man, the trash is now overflowing. They built up this one part of the country that's just trash, 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 and we just went somewhere else, but now it's overflowing into everything. And so now men who represent higher values like love and truth have to stand up and address these young men and say, hey, the antidote to feeling weak and broken is becoming strong and whole, strong and healed. You need to heal the irrational fear and anger that you hold, not stoke it every day. Immigrants are not a threat to you. You came from immigrants, unless you're a Native American out there watching, and if you are, then I apologize. Because I can be truthful about what happened in this country, and I can still say, all I can do is my best today. And my best today is to look for the people spreading trash and toxicity in society and say, we are here to help. You don't have to be lonely. You embody higher principles like this, you will not be. If you embody higher principles like this and you erase your irrational fear and you put yourself out in the community and you don't operate from irrational anger and you embody these, you will not be lonely, and you will have a social group of real men who you don't have to be afraid to be a good person in front of. Because again, if you're MAGA, there's somebody in your life that you're afraid of being a decent person in front of. MAGA spreads misogyny, anti-immigrant, and racist demagoguery. So demagoguery is saying they don't put any economic facts or data on the table to argue about immigration. They simply stoke base human fears like, that person's gonna steal from you, that person's gonna take from you, that person's gonna hurt you. That's demagoguery. They don't say, here's the evidence of why letting immigrants in is going to lower your wages, because guess what? There is none. All of the evidence is on the other side that says a more diverse community makes a stronger community. But again, these people don't care about facts or truth when they're in this muck. They care about obedience and loyalty to the pack of hyena incels. You have to be loyal to the pack, or the pack of hyenas will turn on the other hyena. So facts don't matter. It's obedience, it's loyalty, it's a jersey. These people love to simultaneously pretend that they have swagger and victimhood. Okay, think about that. They're acting like they've got the swagger. Like, think about Donald Trump Jr. Man, I want to put him up. I hope I have a video saved of this goofball. Somebody, in my opinion, this would have to be obviously way further down the line because I'm one of the tiniest channels on YouTube. But please, Karma, please somehow let me come face to face with and debate Donald Trump Jr. one day. Here we go. Oh, you know, that's a year ago. I know I saved a video with Donald Trump Jr. I don't see it on here. Ugh, that's a shame. Donald Trump Jr. is the perfect example
personally yesterday
of swagger and victimhood. Donald Trump Jr. wants to act like he's, you know, a manly alpha man. To which I say, hey, Donald Trump Jr., any competition, man. I'm a far left liberal Democrat. You know all the things you've said about me. I'm also a Marine, Donald Trump Jr. I enlisted before I was 18 years old, Donald Trump Draft Dodger Jr. You want to say that liberals are beta males, effeminate, whatever? Please, please, motherfucker, just give me a competition, whatever you want. Anything you want, buddy. And it's not to insult or hurt. We'll shake hands after. You know, it's civil. But the point is, you cannot compete with us. You little trust fund, spineless, snivelly-nosed bitch boys who don't know anything about real life, let alone real violence, real masculinity. And real violence is not something to be proud of. It's that if you have seen real violence, if you're capable of real violence, you would never take it lightly. So Donald Trump Jr., when I talk about MAGA being swagger and victimhood, you are the poster boy, my boy. You are the poster boy for swagger and victimhood. And let me say what that means. You want to act like you're the dude. Like, no, like y'all see the woman, the last lady that he was with, and I'm not here to shame anybody, but like, bro, you're not pulling any bad women ever. Ever. Because you're cruel. It's, again, Donald Trump Jr. could tomorrow come out and be like, you know what, I'm about love and truth, and this muck that I've been a part of doesn't represent that. I'm going to start living for this. I put my hands up and say, okay, my brother, it's nothing but love. All is forgiven. You're on team love and truth. We are brothers. But while you're over here in this muck making money off of these boys, and it's the swagger and the victimhood. Okay, so he's acts like he's got the swagger, but everything he's saying every time he's on Fox News is about how MAGA are victim. This kid is a billionaire, has never done anything in his life but con people. Literally convicted of scamming child cancer charities, okay? That's who this man is. And he's playing the victim every day. But he also wants you to believe that he's an alpha man and he's masculine and manly, you know, and desirable. But he's also a perpetual victim. So they love swagger and victimhood. And again, none of it has to be true if you're obedient to the cult. If you're obedient to the red jersey, to the red hat, you can say anything. But it leaves them being fearful and angry because it's like, it's uncomfortable when you all know that it's a lie, but you're all going along with it. It's uncomfortable. They feel in their heart that something's wrong, and they're constantly told that it's the Democrats and it's the liberals. Like Caroline Leavitt said, the people who went to No Kings were Antifa, terrorists, and violent criminals. It was grandmothers, children, teenagers, people like me, okay, Marines, veterans, active duty, reservists, gay, straight, rich, poor, everybody was at No Kings. Every demographic was represented. But they'll just sit there and tell their followers that it's a bunch of violent criminals because truth doesn't matter to people who put obedience first. Incels embody a facade, okay, so a fake covering. A fake covering meant to cover up whatever's behind it. Incels embody a facade of chauvinistic bravado covering a deep well of hurt and insecurity. Incels embody a facade of chauvinistic bravado covering a deep well of hurt and insecurity. So this hurt and insecurity, if you're feeling hurt, you're feeling insecure. If nobody's telling you that the way that you heal that pain and insecurity is by embodying love and truth, and we will talk more about this in time, what does it mean to live according to higher principles? And that means these are my principles, whatever jersey is wearing them. Just like I said, if Donald Trump Jr. tomorrow came out and said, I am for love and I am for truth and I am for liberty, my brother, I don't care what, you could still say you're MAGA and you could be for this every day. And again, if you're for truth, that means you're really for truth. You can't lie anymore. When your dad lies about how many billions of dollars his tariffs have brought in when they brought in zero, if you really love truth, you call out your own dad on TV, whatever. So if somebody really embodied these principles, they are my brother, period. But nobody in this party is ever going to embody these principles because this party runs on cruelty to make weak and broken men feel powerful. Because cruelty and feeling powerful is an antidote for this deep well of hurt and insecurity. But it's like taking heroin or opium for your pain. Does it help? Does it help the deep well of hurt and insecurity, feeling weak and broken? Does it help to be cruel in a pack of hyenas who helps feed you and pump you up and make you feel powerful because together as a pack of little bottom-feeding hyenas, you can attack a lion when they're not looking and make you feel powerful? Yes, it really is an antidote, just like heroin or opium will make you feel good. But it will kill you in the long run. It will kill you in the long run. You will stay an incel. You will stay lonely. A lot of these MAGA people are married to the MAGA women. Again, the MAGA women are emotionally broken. They're not their true selves because they have submitted to a religion who tells them they are to be less than. So they're agreeing to suppress however they would be if they were truly free, if they truly had liberty. And that the women are unhappy because they think, okay, I'm being obedient to God, I'm being obedient to my church, I'm being obedient to the priest, I'm being obedient to my husband, and I'm choosing obedience, but in my heart, I know that I wish I could choose something else. I consider myself a good person because I'm sacrificing what I wish I could choose to be obedient. So these women can look themselves in the mirror and say, I'm being a good person because I'm being obedient. But you know they're not happy. Their husbands know they're not happy. The husbands are unhappy because what they actually want is to attract a real woman who's really herself, who's independent and strong and brave, because biologically that's who you want to have kids with. You want your child to be half you and half the best human being you could possibly find. And that's not a human being who suppresses and kneels to corrupt authority. That's a human being who loves truth so much, they're like, I'm going to be myself no matter what. I'm going to stand for what's right no matter what. That biologically is the partner that all men want. So their women are unhappy, their men are unhappy, even the ones who are married. Like, in my opinion, Ben Shapiro is a married incel. That man is so miserable. His wife is so miserable, but they're so obedient to their religion that they think, even though they're miserable, they're good people because they believe they couldn't get divorced. Ben Shapiro knows that if he did get divorced, he's not going to find somebody better than his wife because everybody in his religion submits in the same way that's always going to lead to them being a shell of a real human. Nobody wants to be with a shell of a real human. They want to be with a real human who's true about what they believe. And if what you believe is love, what do you have to be ashamed of? But again, if you're in this cult, what you have to be ashamed of is if you embody these values in this group, they will outcast you, they will ridicule you, they'll be cruel to you. The pack of hyenas will gang up on any hyena who tries to embody love and truth. So, cruelty isn't an antidote for loneliness, being weak and broken, irrational fear and anger. Yes, like a hard drug that will kill you in the long run. What is an antidote to the fear, anger, loneliness, weakness, and brokenness? What is the antidote that will make you stronger and give you more life and more happiness and more fulfillment? Embodying higher principles like love and truth and liberty and justice and equality. But there hasn't been a group of men. If I tell a broken young man this and they actually do this, they don't need me anymore. Their need for me is done. I lost my customer. Damn it. Just like you know that doctors and pharmaceutical companies don't give you the real healing, they want to hook you on pharmaceuticals and keep you reliant so you're a customer, you keep coming back. That's what this is. They need to control these people so the fear and anger can never go down. They gotta keep it up. Keep them fearful, angry, weak and broken so they rely on us. If we tell these young men, hey, build strength in some way. Again, there are plenty of the baddest women on the planet who don't even care what a man physically looks like if they have a beautiful heart and soul. And those of you who think that that's not true, you simply don't know. You don't know, Sway. You ain't got the answer, Sway. You ain't been doing this, Sway. I've been doing this, okay? I'm telling you, statistically, it helps if you're in good shape. And it shows biologically that you want to be here. It shows that you take life seriously. It shows that you can stick to something hard over time. But it is not a requirement. But if you do this and this, you will never be lonely and you won't need me. You won't need a cult. You will not be fearful and angry. You'll have the romance that you want. You'll be friends with people you don't have to be afraid to be a good person in front of. Sometimes you have to clear way to make room for something better. Sometimes you have to give up the people who will lash out at you for being a good person to find a tribe of people who will celebrate and uplift and support you being a good person. I promise you they're there. We're the majority of this country. This is 33% of the country. And they only won because they attracted this group of broken young men, and we didn't. Good men have failed in the last decade in the sense that we didn't try, enough of us didn't try to reach out and help these young men. These young men represented something like 15% of the vote that changed from Joe Biden to Trump. So specifically, a group of young white men decided the last election. You can break it down other ways and say other demographics who didn't show up to vote. There's also anomalies in the election that look like Trump and Musk could have done some shady stuff. But what's clear is that if we had not let this group of young men slide over here to these grifters who want to keep them fear and angry, to use them as pawns, we wouldn't be in this situation. So we have trash, toxicity being spread in our community. Good men have to clean it up. Good men who have the resources, who have the strength, who have the intelligence to say, you know what? I didn't make this mess. I didn't do anything to these boys. But damn it, the toxicity has gotten into my water. The toxicity is overflowing everywhere. I guess I better put on my boots and get to work. So when you tell these young men that if they embody love and truth, especially if on top of that, because that's all you got to do and you will find the antidote to loneliness, fear, anger, feeling weak and broken. If you embody love and truth and you're serious about it, you will not be lonely. Because, again, removing the fear, but standing for this. I stand for love and truth. I'm going to take away the fear. I'm going to put myself out there. I'm going to show up to a local hiking group. I'm going to show up to a local fitness, workout group. I'm going to show up to a local yoga class. I'm going to be a big brother or big sister in my community, because I'm going to not let the fear of what if they reject me, because you know what? If somebody rejects love and truth, they're not for you. So you don't have to be afraid. So you put yourself out there. You will not be lonely anymore. And then there's nobody to sell you anything. Because the real antidote actually heals you. And you don't need the doctor anymore. And you guys really need to understand the difference between the chiropractic, I shouldn't even say that word, between the pharmaceutical industry who wants to keep you hooked on a drug and the doctor who simply wants to heal you and never see you again. This will heal you, and you will not need a group of hyenas. You will not need to perform cruelty. You will have romance. You will have friends. You will have community. And you can feel good about yourself and look yourself in the mirror. If you buy into this, you're hooked on the OxyContin. You're hooked by Big Pharma. They want to keep you there to use you as a customer. It's psychologically, we're going to wrap it up here. We're going to wrap it up, and then I'll see y'all tomorrow, but we got a couple more little paragraphs here. It's psychologically rewarding to feel like the underdog and the hero at the same time. And MAGA narratives provide endless fodder for both self-pity and self-aggrandizement. Hold on one second here. It's psychologically rewarding to feel like the underdog and the hero at the same time. And MAGA narratives provide endless fodder for both self-pity and self-aggrandizement. So at the same time, like we're talking about Donald Trump Jr., they can see themselves as both heroic masculine men. Again, the same way that a hyena feels big because it attacked a lion with a gang of other hyenas. None of them would ever face a lion one-on-one. But they feel powerful because they have a gang of cruelty. Again, and that's like OxyContin or heroin. Will it fix the feeling of brokenness and weakness? Yeah, but it will kill them in the long run. The antidote will make these people reject them. If they live by love and truth, MAGA will reject them. But if they stay in this group, they get to feel like the victim and the hero at the same time. And make that make sense, man. How are you the victims and the manly men at the same time, Donald Trump Jr.? Again, it would never happen because this is a tiny channel. Maybe one day, you never know. You never know how life could turn out. If I could offer anything like a prayer, it would be that I get to confront Donald Trump Jr. in some kind of competition as gentlemen, where we shake hands after, that he picks. Because of all the things he said about Democrats, I would love to just dog walk that man in anything he picks. It could be checkers, it could be boxing, it could be MMA, it could be weightlifting, it could be whatever you want, Donald Trump Jr. I will dog walk your bitch ass. You are weak, you're a little bitch, you're a trust fund fucking scumbag, and I'm saying all that not to insult, but to tell you the truth. And like I said, if Donald Trump Jr. tomorrow said, I am for love and truth, you are my brother. I got nothing else to say to you. But because you represent all of the opposite of this, and you've become a figurehead of dishonesty and lying, I say, man, please compete with a far liberal Democrat on a live stream, side by side, and show everybody what's what. they can lie and lie and lie, because if you're in this group, what you value is loyalty and obedience, not truth, not facts. So they don't care that they're lying. They think it's funny. If their leaders lie, they're like, ah, that was funny. They were just trolling. Nothing matters to them but kneeling to the jersey. And a strong man who loves truth would never do that. That's how I can say, I don't care what jersey you wear. If you represent this, we're brothers, we're sisters. I don't care, nothing else. Tell me the principles you have. I don't care what your jersey is. But I know that if you stand for these, you're not wearing this jersey. Because if you wear that jersey of love and truth inside this group, they will attack you. Because cruelty is what stokes the fear and anger that keeps people here. Again, like being addicted to a drug with big pharma. They want to keep them hooked on the hot OxyContin of cruelty, because if they were to give them the antidote of living by love and truth and working towards something, whether it's mental or physical, while embodying love and truth, these people wouldn't need anybody anymore. They wouldn't be customers anymore. They would be independent, and they would not fall for this rhetoric, because when you live by these principles and you see how good life becomes when you are a good person all the time, every day, and that doesn't mean you don't mess up. That means when you mess up all the time, every day, you'll take accountability for it. You won't feel threatened by saying, I messed up. I need to apologize. Man, I was tired. I was hungry. I thought about what I said and I'm embarrassed. That is not who I am on a consistent basis. If you embody these all the time, your life will become better and better and better and better, and you will never kneel to another man, let alone a man made out of McDonald's with a neck pussy who ran from the draft like his life depended on it, who posts videos of himself wearing a crown in a fighter jet he could never pass the tests or physical requirements to fly, that he couldn't physically fit in, dropping his feces on people like me, Marines, who signed up to serve this country when they were teenagers. These little bitch boy, and they're bitch boys as long as they're here. There's always forgiveness for people to change. But when you are cancer, you're cancer. And you have to be removed by the doctor. When you are toxic garbage, you are toxic garbage, and you have to be removed by the person in the hazmat suit protected from the garbage who knows how to get rid of it. Cancer can leave the body, and then the doctors don't keep trying to treat it. If you change to this, we have no problems. Because for us, it's not us versus them, us versus y'all. For us, it's we all have to be here, y'all. We all have to be in agreement of love and truth over cruelty, fear, and anger. The tragic irony here is many of these incel men yearn for connection and dignity. Yet the movement they embrace drives them deeper into hate and isolation. After all, a community built on grievance can never truly heal its members. Again, being addicted to the pharmaceutical drug, that's what Big Pharma wants. They want you to stay on the drug that keeps you sick but makes you feel better when you take the drug. Cruelty makes weak, broken men who live in fear and anger feel powerful while they're high on the cruelty. But like being high on OxyContin or heroin, it will ultimately kill you. And just like being hooked on OxyContin or heroin will keep you a customer of Big Pharma, of the drug dealer, until you die, that's what this does. Whereas this is your rehab, young men, old men, anybody who's fallen into taking this drug of cruelty for whatever reason you found yourself there. This is the antidote where when you take this, I have nothing to sell you. There's nothing I can grift you on. Your life is going to transform. If your whole culture is built around this, and you live in, say, the deep South, like where I grew up, and you start to stand for this like I did, they will kick you out. They will attack you, never to your face, and they will never confront you to your face. At least not me. But they will try to prevent you from getting jobs. They'll do everything they can as a pack of hyenas to attack you for trying to be a lion. But if you become a lion, if you become a person who lives by higher principles instead of obedience, if you put principles before obedience to a jersey, these people will reject you. But guess what? That's like making room for every single toxic piece of sludge who leaves your life. There are good people waiting to come in and fill those spots and help you expand this land for everybody. This right here, everyone is welcome. Everybody's welcome here, but you can't come here and bring the toxic sludge because they're fundamentally different places. There is not the toxic sludge here. All right, y'all. It's been a long one today. We're going to wrap it up. We got some good work in. We talked a lot about why incels love MAGA. And again, it's not to insult, it is to help. And it's not an opinion. Nick Fuentes, there are, I have article on article on article, if you want me to share them, of direct Nick Fuentes quotes calling himself an incel, celebrating incels, recruiting incels, tying incels to MAGA. So this is not my opinion. This is based on fact. These people really determined the last election, and they're sold something like a drug, like OxyContin or heroin. Does it feel good? Does it make you feel like Superman while you're on it? Yeah. But the longer you take it, you start to realize that you're hooked on it and it's not so good. And it becomes harder and harder to find your way back to true healing. And what I'm going to end with is that big pharma metaphor of saying, if you're in this system, it is meant to keep you fearful and angry, like stoking a fire, like feeding an addict a drug that will kill them, but will keep them a customer until the day that they die. That's what this is. This, living by higher principles, no matter what jersey they wear, is the antidote that makes you ungriftable. Because if I teach you simply to just try to be love and truth every day, and when you fall short, you acknowledge it, because that's the truth. Because you love yourself enough to be true with yourself. You love your community enough to come to your community truly as you are. And to be confident that if you are operating from love and truth, everything's going to work out, because it will. If you do that, I don't have a course to sell you. I don't have any supplements to sell you. I don't have any one-on-one coaching to sell you. I have nothing to make off of you except for the bigger we build this land together, the better it's going to be for all of us. So it does help my life if you start living up to this. If you start spreading this in your community, it does help me, but I don't sell you anything. You're not a customer. And guess what? If you're hooked on this, it's not going to kill you. It's going to give you life. The more you love yourself, the more you will take care of yourself. The more you love your community, the more you will take care of your community. The more that you love truth, the cleaner our society will be. There won't be this toxic radio, because again, OxyContin and heroin work. This works. OxyContin and heroin work. Okay? This stuff works for these broken people, but it is a death sentence, and it is a half-human way to live. when you're under the influence of these drugs that will kill you, you're not truly yourself. You're using some type of chemical to become something else. And we talked about why they do it. We talked about how it happens. And that's really what it is. It's be hooked on a drug that will kill you and be our customer for life, or be healed and be nobody's customer, be your own person, and have a great life. An abundance of friendships, romantic relationships, even financial resources come from this. This is not the easy road of quick grifting and quick hyena pack building. You can go, wear a red hat and, join one of their rallies and have a community. You join their Facebook groups and, have 100 friends in 10 minutes effortlessly. But they're going to be a shadow of what you would experience if you operated and built a tribe off of these principles. You would have a tribe, a social group of real mother effers, real people who do real things, who these people will never face to face. Again, Donald Trump Jr., tiniest channel on YouTube. All I can offer is up into the ether, to karma, to something bigger than me. Please let Donald Trump Jr. see this one day. And Don Jr., as gentlemen, who will shake hands after whatever we do. You want to talk about how the Democrats are this, the left is that. Pull up, my boy. Anything you want to do. Any competition, you versus me. And that goes to any type of right-wing person, but specifically dudes like Donald Trump. It's outrageous that he can sit there and spew this nonsense, and young men believe it. It's crazy. But that's why I'm here to say, young men, watch how they duck and dodge real lions. Watch how your right-wing people, because I'll debate any of them. I'll show up in a gym with any of them. I'll work out with any of them. I'll box any of them. I'll hike with any of them as a gentleman who ultimately is here to help and loves everybody and wants truth. So can we box and still be friends after? Absolutely. That would be a good live stream. Your favorite right-wing influencer boxing me. Let's see what's up. And that is to say, there's a healthy way for men, young men, to express, aggression and masculinity with love. Like, if I'm boxing you, I'm going to try to beat you. I'm going to try to teach you a lesson because I love myself. I love being physically active. I love real competition. I don't want to just talk ish. I want to find out who's who. I want to know. I would love to know if Donald Trump could beat me in a boxing match. There's no way in hell. But if he did, I'd be really surprised, and I'd tell the truth about it, and I would shake his hand after. I'm not scared to find out. They are, okay? Whether it's a head-to-head IQ test, a head-to-head history test, you want to play checker, what do you want to do? You want to call us names, but you don't want to compete with us. Just like you don't want to compete with immigrants. Just like you don't want to compete with women. And the more that we show young men how these are the people that hide, they throw mud from the shadows. They talk shit from a place of safety. And we're saying, what do y'all want to do? Let's not do it to be cruel. I don't want to hurt anybody. I want to teach you a lesson. Maybe you teach me a lesson. I'm here to I'll show up. I'm not ducking any right-wing MAGA person at all. But it's got to be face-to-face. It could be face-to-face on video, in person, whatever. Again, as gentlemen who shake hands after, because I don't want YouTube to get it twisted. And it's not about saying, I'm this and you're not that. It's no. You said what I am, Donald Trump Jr. You told me who I am. Motherfucker, Let me show you who I am. As a gentleman, let me teach you a lesson you never learned in your little trust fund, sheltered, turkey neck life. Okay? Or you can just keep throwing mud and saying what you want to in your little safe space where you will never actually come out and confront a real Democrat man. And you can be a little hyena who can only attack a lion with a pack of other bottom feeders. But it's become time that we have to show the young men who's who. And I'm not coming out here to flex on anybody. I'm coming out here responding to somebody throwing mud at me and the people that I love and telling a lie. Because these little boys ain't shit. Coming from a Marine? And the people who kneel to these little neck pussy boys are below that because they're hooked on this drug. You don't have to be. You can have the antidote, and I've got nothing to sell you, but your own better future, your own happiness, your own fulfillment. Living how you truly are. You don't want to be cruel, especially if you're actually a strong person watching this. It doesn't make you feel stronger to be cruel to somebody. If you're capable of real violence, if you've seen real violence, you don't wish that on your worst enemy. I don't wish the things I've seen on these two bitch-made motherfuckers. I wish them to learn this, because then they would be fine. All humans are redeemable. Everybody can be a good person. But if they're choosing to be in the muck, they're spreading toxic cancer through our society, and it can't be tolerated. And if Donald Trump Jr., a little trust fund spawn of this draft dodging piece of shit, is going to tell a Marine that he's a purple hair, soy boy, whatever, everything that he said about Democrats, and you're going to hide from a competition. And again, I don't want to hurt you, Donald Trump Jr. I want to say, okay, you think that's who Democrats are? What do you want to compete at? You like to hunt, you like to shoot. You want to shoot? You want to compete with a Marine shooting? You want to wrestle? You want to box? You want to take an IQ test? Please tell me where to show up, bro. And that, again, goes to anybody, but especially Donald Trump Jr., because it's just absurd. And we have to talk about it, because people who love the truth can't abide toxic lies being spread all around us and just continue to look the other way. I should have been doing this a long time ago, but hey, we're here now. We're here every day at 1:11. This is one of the longest that we've done, but I think this is an important topic, again, because they don't deny it. This is all not to insult, but to help. These people tell you who they are. Nick Fuentes will tell you that he's an incel. He promotes incels, and MAGA recruiting incels probably won them the last election if it wasn't won by shenanigans. That being said, that's the stream for today, y'all. Much love, as always. Much liberty wherever you are. We'll see you tomorrow. Bye-bye.